folks, and thank you for joining us on The Gifted Onez. And I'm your host, Liz Throp. Today's vibrational boost comes from our expert, Stacey Haluka. Today's topic, essential oils. Are they safe? And can anyone use them? Today's expert, Stacey Haluka, will certainly be opening our eyes on this subject. I can tell you it opened my eyes reading your book. Stacey is a self-proclaimed lead shifter at Your Inner Peace. Her main focus is helping women strengthen their emotional and mental well-being. Stacey is also a transformational coach, a certified Les Brown motivational speaker, neuro-linguistic programming therapist, mindfulness coach, Reiki practitioner, and co-author of the book, The Unspoken Truth about essential oils. Welcome, Stacey.
Thanks, Liz.
I'm glad I got through that. Like, you have quite a lot of credentials there.
Thank you.
Your book, which I'm going to hold up for the camera, The Unspoken Truth about Essential Oils. We're going to get to this because this changed everything for me as an avid essential oil user. I still use them, but I'm a lot more aware now. But for the folks that are watching this at home, can you please explain what essential oils are for somebody who doesn't know?
Sure, Liz. First of all, I would like to just state that I am not an expert on essential oils, nor do I claim to be.
Right.
I'm just somebody who had a bad experience and who has learned a lot, through going through that experience. What are essential oils? Essential oils are essentially chemical compounds of plants. So they take the plants and they usually, the primary way they do this is distill the plants, which creates a volatile chemical compound. That's, a big word to say. And it is, so basically it's the plant's medicine in a highly concentrated form.
Okay.
So you have herbal medicine, which is taking the plant in the herb form, and essential oils is that compound times, however much it is, which is why there really needs to be safe usage around them.
Absolutely. Well, they're the purest form of that plant. Right? So you have co-written a book called The Unspoken Truth, as I mentioned at the beginning. Please describe to our viewers what led you to write this book. I know, it's a loaded question.
That's a good question. That's a big question.
Yeah.
It came from my experience. It came from, the reactions that I had, the sensitization I ended up having because of the overuse of essential oils, and living through the pain that I lived through. And I thought, I can't be the only person out there that this has happened to.
Yeah.
So I started, doing some research on this and finding out that, no, I'm not the only person that this happened to, that this has happened to several people. And then I decided 2.5 years ago to put out a YouTube video about my experience, what had happened, showing the photographs and everything.
And I have to say,
bring some awareness.
That was shocking to me because, like you, I had no idea that they could potentially be dangerous to people. I like you, assumed that they were an all-natural product that anyone and everyone and their brother and children could use. Right. So I have to just put that in there because when I saw that, when I saw that post, I was shocked by what you had to share. So please share with the audience what.
Yeah, and we'll get into the shocked factor in a little bit of why they can be harmful. I went on YouTube and I put this video out, and I knew it was going to be very controversial, but I knew also that I needed to do something to bring awareness, because so many people think that, they're all natural, that they can't cause harm. I can use them internally, topically, and diffusing them all day, every day, and I'm okay, I'm safe. And that's just simply not true.
Yeah.
So by putting out this video was my way of just wanting to let the public know, right? And honestly, it was a bit scary for me to do that, to come out publicly with what had happened to me.
I can imagine it was.
It was not an easy decision, and I, got some hate from people who...
Did you really?
Yeah, it was pretty nasty. Some people were pretty nasty to me, and I had expected that, but not to that degree. Like, it got really bad, and it just shut me down again, because I already wasn't in a good place. I still wasn't healed. I was still dealing with this, right? So, but the good thing that happened was, because of that video, people from all over the world started contacting me.
See?
And saying me
Out of the
too.
darkness comes the
It was a
light.
different kind of me too.
Yeah.
And sharing their stories with me. And some were saying, you know, what do I do to get better? And they were asking me all these questions and I could not answer them. And I'm not a doctor. I was still dealing with my own trauma and trying to figure out my own body. And I really couldn't help them on that level. But on another level, we collaborated into a way of somewhat supporting each other through this.
Beautiful.
And that was when I also began the Facebook group, which is the same name as the book. And that just really exploded to the point where I've had to back away from the group. It's now run by some very capable aromatherapists who know what they're doing.
Beautiful.
We have well over 5,000 members in the group now. And it's, you know, a safe place for people to go to get proper information and to understand,
Fabulous.
you know, what damage can happen, or a safe place for people who have been harmed to go and say, hey, this is what happened to me, and, you know, not be criticized the way I was.
Exactly. Do you mind if I show our viewers some of the photos of what it is you were discussing, the damage that the oils did to you?
By all means, it's public,
So yeah, it's public, but you know, you're sitting here. I didn't want to be pretentious. Here are some photos. You can maybe explain the back of your neck. So you would apply oils to your skin, and would you apply them neat or with an oil base?
Well, see, it wasn't even necessarily, I can't say it was specifically the oils on my skin,
Right,
because at the time
oily.
I was following protocols I was taught of taking them internally, topically, and diffusing them. So I was using them all three ways every day.
Yeah.
And the first rash that appeared was on my forearm. And the rash appeared in a place where I had never applied an essential oil.
That's this one here.
Then it moved to the back of my neck and my leg. Again, I never applied essential oils to those places. So what can happen when you have either an allergic reaction or a sensitization reaction is the rash will show up in places where you didn't apply oils, because you're taking them internally or your body's reacting in a sensitized way.
Of course.
So people don't attribute the rash to the essential oil because it's showing up somewhere where they've never applied the oil.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Wow. Now, this one I felt so sad for you. Like, this must have been horrific. Having gone through my own experience facially, I can tell you that must have just been astounding to you. Like, it must have just knocked you off. And reading your book, I know how it took you to very dark places. And for anybody that has used essential oils, I mean, myself included, reading this book, I've never had an adverse reaction. I have taken them orally. I have put them on neat. I have used the oil, the coconut oil, and applied them with that, and I diffuse. So I have not had any reaction. And so therefore, when you came forward with this, I was like, oh my goodness. And I had always wondered how these strong, potent things didn't have a reaction. And then you came forward with this, and then all the other people that I was reading about came forward with this. And I have to say, so proud of you, and you were so brave to come forward, because those weren't easy. I'm sure even taking the photos for those. So let's touch on what you had to do, or how you came to know or understand that it was the essential oils. Why don't we go there, so anybody watching this who's still questioning the validity of it, because I'm sure there's tons of people out there going, I use it all the time. Read this book.
Yeah,
right?
there's a few things I'd like to address in what you just said, Liz. The reason why I was taking those photos was to show my doctor what was going on with me. Because I was going to the doctors, I had ended up in emergency. Nobody could figure out what was going on with me. Right. So at that point, I didn't know it was the essential oils.
Right.
When I started taking these photos, it was me documenting what was happening to my body.
Right.
Right. The other thing is, what you had stated is, I use them all the time and nothing has happened to me.
Yeah.
And one thing we have to understand is essential oils, every single essential oil has numerous different chemical compounds in it. Okay. And if you're blending essential oils,
Which we all do.
Which everybody does.
Yeah.
You're adding, like, I always say you should have a chemist background if you're going to start blending essential oils. Because you don't know how those different chemical constituents are going to blend together and how they are going to react with the chemicals in your body. Everybody's personal chemistry is different.
Right.
So how I react to one essential oil, you will not react to that essential oil the same way.
Right.
Right? And the other part of that is something will happen eventually if you continue using them the way you've been using them. And I attribute that to somebody who is an alcoholic. When they start drinking, nothing happens, you know? And then some people have liver damage in 10 years. Some people have liver damage in 60 years.
Yeah.
It all depends on your chemistry, your DNA. There's so many factors that go into it, but it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, and that's what scared me about that, how it does affect the organs. Ultimately, it may not be showing up in the rash form like it did for you, but it does affect the organs. Anything that we put on our body, whether it be regular shampoo or laundry detergent, they're all chemicals, right? So ultimately, it does have some adverse effect, ultimately, over time. Now, your situation, you worked for a company, we won't mention the name, but the company you worked for was like a pyramid scheme, right? So you would send it, sell it to others, and then you would talk them into selling it as well. And that's kind of how we made the money, because I belong to the same group as you are, I know. One of the things that struck me as shocking was what they kept telling you your reaction was. Can you share that with everybody? Because I'm sure others have heard this.
Well, there's several different things. Is one, the company themselves say you cannot be allergic to essential oils, and that is completely false. If you go on Robert Tisserand's website, the Tisserand Institute, he is one of the top safety experts in North America, and he debunks that myth. Dr. Robert Pappas, who is the leading essential oil chemist in North America, debunks that myth as well. You can absolutely be allergic to essential oils.
Right, right. And they were telling you that it was a case of
the body detoxing.
Yeah.
And if you go, again, Robert Tisserand or Dr. Pappas have both debunked that. I bought it.
Yeah,
I did.
I'd have bought that.
I did.
And I wonder how many people out there have been told the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I love essential oils. I love the scent. I love my house getting that. Lavender is my favorite. I use lavender all the time. But after reading this, I used it on my grandchildren, which scared me, because after seeing and reading, like the one here, the excerpt from, I believe it's your co-writer, Kayla.
Kayla wrote that part, yes.
Yeah, Kayla wrote this part. In 2016, the American Association of Poison Control Centers report, it's a good indicator that the improper use of essential oils is on the rise. There were 20,109 poison control cases in 2016 involving essential oils. That's 20,108 too many.
And
if
those
it was
are
a one-off, okay, but that's too many people getting sick from this.
And those are only from the stats of people who have reported it to poison control.
Exactly. So, I mean, I had a ton of questions to ask you, but I think we've covered tons of stuff here. Are you against essential oils, or are people using, would you say?
Absolutely not.
Right.
I mean, essential oils are absolutely amazing. You know, and used properly, they can be very healing, right? But if you look at it, say the aromatherapists that I know now, a lot of them are also herbalists.
Right.
Their theory is always turn to herbal medicine first. Your body normally cannot handle or does not need the power of the essential oils. And even the one Melissa a couple of weeks ago, she uses homeopathic medicine, herbalism, and she's an aromatherapist, and she stated that she has not used her diffuser in over a year.
Wow.
Because they only use it when needed. It's not something that's supposed to be used all the time. It should be treated like a medicine.
Like a medicine. That is so good
and
to
used
know.
only when needed.
Yeah. So I have stopped since reading this book. I have stopped spraying my bed down with lavender spray because I did that all the time. I would change the sheets every other day, and then I would spray everything to get that glorious smell of lavender. And I have stopped diffusing, and I take nothing orally. In the wintertime, I would drop peppermint on my tongue easily, like throughout the winter, without even a second thought about it, because I just assumed, like everybody else, that this was completely natural and
Right, and
no
if you-
issues.
It is completely natural, but if you think about it, Liz, people are allergic to grass. It's natural.
Exactly.
People have hay fever from
Exactly.
natural plants, right?
Yeah.
So we can, anything in excess is not good for us.
Right.
Some people are allergic to the sun,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
There's so many things that we need to think about when we're using these.
I love it. Well, thank you for bringing this to the world's attention, because it was needed. And after reading this book, I'm sorry that you had to go through a year plus to get to the healing stage, back to the healing stage. But thank you for sharing such a inspirational story. Because
welcome.
without it, we wouldn't have the awareness. So thank you.
And thank you for having me and sharing it.
I'm so grateful. I pray that no one ever has to suffer unnecessarily again. And remember, folks, the first one to smile in the room is the shiniest. Thanks and abundance and blessings to everybody out there.
Thank you.